You're listening to Thrill Talk, where we discuss business, life, and everything else we like. Produced in Tucson, Arizona, and brought to you by Team Integrity Homes and the Military PCS Referral Network. Here's Aaron and Chase.
All right, Mr. Wilson.
What's up?
What up? What up?
Hey.
Just your specialty, the face for radio.
Yes.
Hey, what'd you do this weekend?
I actually, my daughter came in town, so I actually kind of hung out a little bit, went out to dinner on Saturday night, which is kind of cool.
She came in from town from where?
Alamogordo.
Alamogordo.
The largest pistachio in the world is out there.
Like farm or actual pistachio?
No, a fake one. It's a fake one. They
So
got a farm.
from-
I don't know if it's the largest farm, but it's a
From
largest
Tucson, you have to
fake
drive
pistachio.
past the thing.
Yeah, you
if
do.
you've never
The
been
thing.
to
And anybody
Southern
knows that's the
Arizona.
most marketed thing ever.
Is it
I don't know if
really?
you know that. Yeah. They market it from border to border.
That's crazy. That is nuts.
Yeah. Which is, I don't want to bust your bubble, but the thing is not that impressive. I don't know if you've ever
No,
seen
they
it.
got my money.
Did they?
They got my money.
They did years ago. So you want to tell everybody what it is?
Nope.
All right.
They got to go spend their
Spend
money.
your $3.
Yep. We, my daughter and kids, our daughter and sons, sports are starting, baseball, softball, and went and did some pitching practice.
You got a big old shiner on your lip.
It's real bad.
Yeah.
It
You're not
had
babbling. Doesn't sound like you're stuttering or anything.
It had
but
some stank on it, and
all
she was at pitching practice, and that ball came up and missed my glove by about an inch, hit me in the lip, and I did one of these where I just grabbed my face, and I was like, oh, I didn't want to go to the dentist.
Well, at least you still got all your chiclets.
They're there. My lip is fat and bruised. It was real bad Saturday. So we wanted to talk a little bit. What is one of the most asked questions that we get and we ask others?
That's right. Well, why do we ask others the question that we're about to ask?
Because a couple reasons. One is that it dictates who they are as a person.
Mm-hmm.
And so let's do this. Let's ask the question, and then I'll give my
Let's
answers.
do it. Okay. Hey, Chase, what book you reading right now?
All right. So that question right there tells a lot about a person. Because when you get the response of what is one of the worst responses you could probably get to that question?
Nothing.
Nothing. I am reading nothing.
Yeah.
Or they say, I have not read a book since high school. You're like, well, you're 40 years now, so 22 years, you haven't read a thing. Besides, like,
Dr. Seuss.
Dr. Seuss, yeah, maybe. Yeah, that is, or the instructions on Top Ramen. Like, those are maybe the last couple things you've read. But when they say nothing, that means that they are not learning based. Or not to say these books are bad by any means, because you ingest the same type of stuff when you're watching movies or whatnot. But when they are only fiction books, and they've got, like, I'm not saying Lord of the Rings is bad, but when you're just ingesting Game of Thrones and nothing else, there's something missing or lacking.
It is. And I think it's just learning based. And I asked the question because I want to know where they're at in their mindset right now.
Yeah.
You know, and then there's the other caveat to the question. Basically, hey, what's the best book you've ever written on? And throw out a topic.
Yeah.
You know, and then that way I'll know from their perspective how deep they've really done. And then the other one is actually, you know, hey, what book should I read? And it kind of lets the other person think about you. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
On how they can help you. So those
and
three
then-
questions there.
And then it allows for follow-up conversations later as well.
Yep. And deeper thought and conversation that may be on that same topic or that book. Exactly.
So let's go
Deep into our books.
Let's go deep. Let's go real
Man.
deep. Now, full disclosure, majority of what we consume is audibly.
Yep.
For both of us.
I combine it at times. I do. There's some books that I will do audio and the actual paperback copy.
You get a whole different understanding of it when you double up.
Yep.
And the what is your take on those individuals that go, oh, just hit it ×3 speed? Can you do it?
I cannot. I don't know. My mind does not go that fast. My mind doesn't go fast at the 1 speed.
Yeah, I go 0.5. Yeah. When I try to do that, my brain is like straining. Like I'm trying to focus so hard on.
Well, there's too much information for me to process to
Correct.
actually take away from. That's all.
Me too.
Yep.
Let's start with this. What is your, not best, because that could be subjective to whatever topic. What is your favorite book that you've read?
My favorite? Oh, goodness. You know what? It's very general, but what is the one by Extreme Ownership is one of them. And I think...
Let's do top 3.
Okay.
Top 3. Extreme Ownership's in my top 3.
Okay. Great Teams is one of them by Don Yeager. That is definitely one of them. And let me see here. I'm just flipping through some old stuff here right now. And this is, well, for work related, I'd say Fanatical Prospecting is pretty decent. Mm-hmm. You know? Oh, you know what? It was written by Viktor Frankl, Man's Search for Meaning.
Yeah, that is a good one.
That is actually, from a mindset standpoint, phenomenal book. And it was literally about the concentration camps.
Yep.
But great book to kind of start off if you want to get into kind of a mindset issue, what they had to endure. But anyhow, great book. How about yourself?
So I've got Extreme Ownership, and my thing with Extreme Ownership is you can boil it down to it's all your fault. Mm-hmm. I had heard a quote a long time ago from John Maxwell, and then we read it again when we went through leadership with our team, is everything rises and falls on leadership. At the end of the day, whether you are an organization of 5, 2, or 500, when stuff goes wrong, you can, I truly believe this, is that you can ultimately track that down to the person in charge where there was a breakdown somewhere. Somebody may do something that is wrong, and they should have known that through training. That's on that trainer's shoulders, which is on their manager's shoulders, it goes up the chain. Everything rises and falls in leadership. So that is one is, and dude, it's Jocko. Like,
yep.
If you hate Jocko, you hate America.
Yeah, and he's got that raspy voice.
Yeah. Other one is that I love is The Last Arrow. That is crept in and stayed in my top 3. It may be my favorite book ever. Last Arrow by Erwin McManus, and it says the last arrow, save nothing for the next life, and basically the premise of this is he's talking about on your deathbed, you should be reaching into your quiver, and you should have no more arrows left. That you've left it all on the table. That you've lived fulfilled, that you've made the best out of this life.
I love that philosophy.
Yeah, so you should die with your quiver empty. Is basically one of the lines.
No regrets.
Yep. Yeah. And then to round out the top 3, go ahead.
I was gonna say there was Simon Sinek said start with why, but I actually didn't really quite like the audio or the book. I've actually done both. His actually TEDx talk is probably
the best,
in my opinion.
It condenses it down.
Yep.
And then I've got a tie for number 3, so I'm giving you my top 4. It would be Bob Goff, Love Does. It is Bob talks about living a life of whimsy.
There was something that Bob wrote that I.
Everybody Always and Love Does are the 2. So Love Does, I just love the way that he talks about it. Like he talks about this is me giving the Cliff Notes according to Chase, but you've got 2 choices when you're with your kids walking by a mud puddle. You can go around it or you can jump in it. Bob talks about take advantage and get muddy. Make those memories. So, And then the other one that I really, really loved is, I want to get the guy's name right, Relentless by Tim Grover.
You know what? I wasn't too fond of that one.
Really?
No, I just thought it was more of a. I get his concept because it was a Michael Jordan, wasn't it? When he
Kobe.
Yeah. Okay. There you go. Yeah. Same thing. It's just I just didn't have the.
It didn't grab you?
No, because I felt that they were stepping on people's toes to get whatever you wanted. Yeah, that's just the way I felt.
Like running through people.
Yep, didn't matter. I'm going to do it no matter what. Kill everybody in my path.
I can see that.
I see that determination. I get it, but
like you get to the top of the hill and you look back at the body count.
Yeah, and then you're like, you can't mend it from there. So that's why.
Okay, so let's go through the list of what we've read recently and whether we liked it or not, finished it.
Oh yeah, there's some of them I don't even finish.
Dude, I got. Speaking of body counts,
yeah, there you go.
I should have gotten charged a quarter of a month of Audible subscription for some of these.
Yeah, because I start and like, okay, the voice may be something that you can't deal with. That was one with me. Like Radical Candor was one of them. Good content, but my goodness, that lady. I'm sorry, but couldn't hear it much longer.
Living with a Seal, 31 days of living with. At this time, he never gave his name. Jesse Itzler wrote it, but so he wrote this. Let's see when he wrote this. Bear with me.
While you're looking at
2015. Okay. So he wrote this 2015, and he paid a Navy SEAL to come live with him for 31 days and teach him. And he basically said, "Hey, I'm gonna pay you." This SEAL said no. And the Navy SEAL said, "You have to do literally everything I tell you to do for 31 days. The moment you say no or you don't do it, we're done." And guess who this Navy SEAL turns out to be?
Probably was it Jocko?
David Goggins.
Goggins? Okay. Yeah. So, you know what? Actually, I got a story behind that as soon as you're done.
So great book. Just listening to a book written before David Goggins became super popular and wrote a book. And so it's cool listening to that, and then knowing that this is before David, so somebody is verifying his story and who he is. It just when I read the book, it added that much more validity to David Goggins to me.
Gotcha. Yeah, when I was on Ragbri back in Iowa, there was a guy he's a huge endurance athlete, and he was actually talking about that particular book as well, talking about that concept.
What was his premise with it?
He was talking about just don't quit, and that's David Goggins. That's David Goggins' book, isn't it?
Yeah, Can't Hurt Me.
Yeah, Can't Hurt Me. Just don't quit. Just continue.
That's the whole thing.
Just keep moving. Just keep going.
Yeah. He calls what he says in his book. He says that he's taking souls. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of his deal. So Living with Seal, Crushing It by Gary Vaynerchuk. Gary V, I am hit or miss with.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I like his mentality at times, and then I'm like, I think sometimes it's over the top.
Yeah.
That's all.
I just have a hard time differentiating between good business practices and life principles versus I need to keep the media machine going.
Mm-hmm.
So,
great content. He's got some good stuff on legacy, good stuff on drive motivation. In other words, who cares what other people think?
Yeah.
But
yep. No, I agree 100%.
Yeah.
The one thing, obviously, Gary K, Mr. Gary Keller, and Jay Papasan. The one thing is that type of book that I believe everybody should read because it is going to apply to them whether they are a stay-at-home mom, retired, or running a Fortune 500 company.
I agree.
And it's one of those books, very few books like this that you could read every 6 months or every year for the rest of your life.
You're going to be in a different spot to where it makes sense.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And that's the thing. I think the biggest takeaway from that one was multitasking is a myth.
Yeah.
Just knock it off.
Yeah.
You can't,
By the time, and a class that I teach called Quantum Leap for Kids talks about that. Multitasking is a complete lie because by the time you have to reorient yourself back on task, you would have been done with is prioritizing.
Yeah.
The Operator, Robert O'Neill.
Never heard of it.
Robert O'Neill, you sent me a video about him telling that story. He's the guy that shot bin Laden.
Oh, yes.
So it's kind of his account. The raid on Osama bin Laden is, I think, like one chapter, and the other 9 are just his story. Good stuff. What was your thoughts on Leadership? We read that together.
You know what? That's a staple. I think that was probably if you take excerpts out of John Maxwell's. I don't even want to say majority, a good handful of his other books, and threw them all together in one. I think that recaps a lot about, what he was trying to get across, because that was just written not too long ago.
Yeah, I think with Leadership it is
Leadership, SHIFT.
Yep.
Yes, yeah.
Not leadership with a P, but shift. 11. It's 11 of his top things, tips for leaders, and I think that it's that book that if you go, hey John, you got one last book to write.
Yeah, I think that would have been
that's it.
Yeah, that'd be a good one. I read Profit First. That's actually a great analogy on how to restructure financially any kind of a business or even your checking account or whatever. But that one there will change your mindset when it comes to knowing exactly what you need to run your business. It's just phenomenal. I mean,
so give the example of what Profit First
basically means. Check comes in anyhow, any kind of revenue that comes in. So in other words, revenue comes in, and then most people will take expenses, pay off whatever they need to pay, their bills, etc., and then they'll pay or put their money into the bank or a savings account or whatever to pay themselves. The philosophy behind it is pay yourself first off the top. So you got revenue, profit first, and then whatever's left over is to pay for expenses. So if you don't have enough money to pay the expenses, you need to cut the expenses. That simple.
Yep.
So therefore, you're always constantly getting paid. Then there's a little caveat on the side, which I think is brilliant. And here's the thing: I'd say luckily, I was just out of sheer luck was kind of doing the same concept, except for now I've kind of increased it on steroids, which is every 3 months
become more purposeful.
Exactly. Now it's every single check that comes in, I divide it into percentages, and it goes into those accounts. So I had to go out and open up more accounts.
Different bank or same bank?
Same bank. And then you just deposit that money into those accounts. And there's one of the accounts which is a bonus or salary, additional salary. And that right there is one to where every 3 months, whatever's in that account, you take half of it and you pay yourself a bonus.
Okay.
So, I mean, this can be done with kids. This can be done with anything. So you get the money that comes in and you have it divided out into 5 different accounts, and one of them is constantly a bonus. So every 3 months, you're always looking forward to that next bonus, and you're only taking half of it, so you don't deplete the whole account. So you're always going to have a bonus no matter what, and every 3 months, no matter what you do.
I see what you're saying. So you're always cut in half. So if there's even no bonuses.
Exactly. You're still going to get a bonus because it's going to be out
no
for 3 months.
Income.
No additional income. Or but you remember, you're running things off profit first. And that's the biggest thing. And that, nice. I think a lot of people, they just pay bills, and whatever's left over is what they kind of try and save.
So let's do this. Let's run through topics, and we'll go with best books for that topic.
Let's do it.
Starting a business. Profit first?
You know what? I'm going to say starting a business, MREA, Millionaire Real Estate Agent.
Regardless of real estate? I would say yes.
You know what? It ties into it. It really does. And how to build it.
Because
I'm going to say up to about halfway.
Yeah, because
I'm going to say up to halfway, because it's going to teach you. I mean, you get your organizational model, your budget model.
Those are real estate related, but you look at it's still running a budget and lead generation.
Yeah. And I think depending on what kind of business that you're looking at, but it sets up a damn good platform. Let's just say that. And I think profit first, if you mix it with that as well, I mean, my goodness. Yeah, you'll be fine.
Leadership book.
I look at leadership. Hold on, let me define it first. I look at leadership as the art of influencing and directing others to accomplish, i.e., a mission. And I'm going to say a leadership book is probably going to be somewhere in the John Maxwell department.
100%. I agree. That's something that he's really mastered.
That's his wheelhouse.
Yeah, and granted, he's done other stuff, right? Wrote other books and whatnot. But when I think of who is the best leadership guru, it's John Maxwell. Like, he's devoted his life to that. he's dabbled in other stuff, but that's his, like I said, that's his wheelhouse.
About self-development.
Self-development. I don't know, because that can be broken down into so many different categories. I would say, so I am not I'm going back into this answer. I am not a big fan of self-improvement books because I don't want to rely upon, like, here's what I mean by that. And I may get crucified for this, but when I go, just find down deep where you want or what you want to do or rely upon yourself. I'm like, I don't want to rely upon myself because myself got me into this mess. Why would So I look at it more as like 5, the book 5.
Okay.
If I would have known how to do it myself, I would have done it by now. So self-development, I would say, is it just called 5?
It is just 5.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
So I look at where you want to be in 5 years from now, and then who are the top 5 people that are influencers in your life. Let me ask you this, Aaron. Would you be where you were at without your top 5?
Absolutely not.
So that's what I mean is self-development. You could only get yourself so far. You had to have outside influence. So personal development, I would say 5 because 1, it's my type of book. You can read it in an hour and a half. And 2 is it sets you up. Would you say that one of the most important decisions in your life is who you choose your top 5 to be?
I totally agree with that. And one of the things I struggle with on that is when you're surrounding yourself with people that you want to emulate, the other side of that is I always question myself, do they want to hang out with me? Or am I, because I know I'm not in their top 5, otherwise I would have been. So why would they hang around with me? Why would they waste time with me? You know what I'm saying? So I struggle with that at times.
But are you in somebody's top 5?
I think I am.
Yeah. So
yeah.
Do you think it's a time suck for you?
No, but you know what? And that's why I say I go back to that because that's a passion of mine is to help them.
It's a trickle down.
Teach
effect.
them, yeah.
So an example is in both of our top 5s is Kristen Cole. Mm-hmm. Kristen's phenomenal. Do you think that Kristen is in John Maxwell's top 5?
Yeah, probably not.
Probably not. Mm-hmm. Does John consider it a waste of time spending time with her?
No,
absolutely not. Mm-hmm. So, is it kind of cool that we're only 2 people away from John Maxwell being in our top 5?
It's actually pretty unique,
right?
Yeah.
And Gary Keller. You think about that.
Mm-hmm.
We are one step removed.
Sometimes that's a good thing.
Yeah, that's a very good thing. It's called a buffer zone. There
was a book called Option B.
I've never heard of that.
Dealing with adversity is basic. I'm going to butcher this. It was the CEO. I think it was of Google or some big company. No, Facebook. It was Facebook. Not CEO of Facebook. But anyhow, husband unexpectedly died on a treadmill one morning, and then how she had to deal with adversity. Very, very unique, to kind of go through those motions. And it's actually for those that are going through any kind of healing or whatnot.
Pretty good stuff.
Yeah, it was pretty decent. What about for building teams? What do you think on that? I mean, there's a couple of them. Yeah. I think I wore out the covers on a lot of these.
Yeah, one of my favorite is Sticky Teams.
Sticky Teams, yeah.
By Larry Osborne.
I don't know.
It's Osborne. I don't remember. Yeah, it's Larry Osborne. So Sticky Teams was the book written after Sticky Church. So Larry's a pastor out in Oceanside. And he started Sticky Church. The premise of it was how does he shut the back door to his church? All these people are coming in, but they're also shuffling out the back. How do we close the back door? So Sticky Teams was kind of the second one of that with his teams and staff and whatnot. And it really became not a church book. Like it became a team building and maintaining book. So how do you shut the back door to your organization? And how do you keep people plugged in? So That's a good one for teams.
You know what another good one for business is? It just dawned on me. How the Mighty Fall.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Yeah, I forgot about that one by Jim Collins.
Jim Collins is phenomenal. I've had the opportunity of hearing him speak probably half a dozen times live now. He's pretty tight into church circles too. Not a pastor or anything like that, but just a wise guy. But How the Mighty Falls is absolutely huge. Anything by Patrick Lencioni.
Yes.
Is
I think what did he have? He had
Death by Meeting.
Yes, that's we actually revert to that at times. Going, wait a minute, whoa, let's go back. Make sure we're not creating a meeting to create a meeting. There was also, did he do Checklist Manifesto?
I believe so. So The Ideal Team Player, he wrote that. 5 Dysfunctions of a Team.
Yep, I've read that one.
What else is he?
You know what's sad is when you start reading these and you're like, okay, there's one I have. Well, there's 2 dysfunctions I have.
Right.
You're like, I hope I don't get to the end of this book and find out I'm dysfunctional.
Death by Meeting, 5 Temptations of a CEO. He wrote one called Getting Naked.
Nope, didn't read that.
You'd remember.
Yeah, you get the illustrations on that.
And he's one of those guys. He gets it. Matter of fact, I was at a conference where he spoke back to back with Jim Collins.
Oh yeah.
That was one of those where like the notes section, my phone was using up all my data.
Gotcha. Checklist Manifesto was by Gawande. Atul Gawande. That's who that was by.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
You are a checklist man, so that scratches your itch.
Actually, Mr. Azar gave me that book.
Wise dude.
Yeah. Run things by checklist. You know what? And it's amazing, though, because remember we talked about that. You know, you got these pilots that are out there. They know how to fly an aircraft. They have started that thing hundreds and hundreds of times, but they still go by a checklist.
Yep.
You know,
that is a whole different podcast. I mean, it's huge. One that I was recommended numerous times by numerous people that I never finished was Blue Ocean Strategy.
Oh, I got it. I got about a quarter of a page.
How to create uncontested market space and make the competition irrelevant. Okay, so I desperately, so bad, wanted to be a part of the club that has read.
Oh, you know what
Blue
I
Ocean
have?
Strategy.
I still have 9 hours and 48 minutes left on that, and I think it was 10 hours.
It was just I couldn't do it.
Yeah,
I couldn't do it.
That one bore me to death.
Let's go with books we didn't finish.
Oh gosh.
Start with Why.
CEO Next Door.
I've got 4 hours left of Start with Why.
Start with Why. Yeah. Like I say, that the TEDx is really great on that. I've got CEO Next Door. I kept trying, but nope.
So here's one that I read that I couldn't finish the audio. Man's Search for Meaning. I've got like 80% left of the audio. Read through the book, no problem.
Gotcha. Smarter, Faster, Better. And Productivity Project.
Couldn't do it.
Nope, those 2. And one more. Let's see here. Building a Story Brand. Ugh.
That was hard with. What is his name?
Let's see here.
Story Brand.
Donald Miller.
That guy's
yeah.
He's a good communicator. Books.
I think the main thing is why though. Why do we need to constantly read this stuff? You know, did you? I was talking to you about. Well, yeah, go ahead. I'm gonna let you expand. I'm gonna.
I look at your mind as a muscle. You got to exercise it, and one of the ones that I've tried to become more conscious about, it still falls by the wayside because we do love stuff where we don't have to think, but garbage in, garbage out.
Mm-hmm.
So with your mind,
simple concept.
What you put in through your ears or your eyes. But like for us audiobooks, what we put in through our ears, what we listen to permeates us. It permeates how we speak, how we live our lives, how we do stuff, good or bad. So that is my big why with this. I can't tell you the last time I listened to the radio in the car. It's either podcasts or books. Now, on the downside with podcasts is there's some podcasts I listen to that are phenomenal and other ones are just a waste of time.
Yeah.
But you need it sometimes. So, yeah, that's my big thing. Just as much as you go to the gym to lift weights, exercise your body, I think that by constantly learning, you are exercising your brain.
I think one of the issues that I have currently is I keep getting stuff mixed up, and I have so much content that's up in my head, and by the time I get to work or somewhere, I don't brain dump it out to where I can put it somewhere, you know.
Especially with podcasts.
I mean, there's just so much info to where it's information overload. And I'm like, man, if I would have just slowed down and kind of created that and focused on that one thing, then it would have been a lot more impactful. But I sometimes want to burn through the book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's the same thing with when you'd actually read a book.
Mm-hmm.
Was you'd get 3 or 4 pages and you'd be like, I don't remember anything that happened in the previous 3 pages.
Well, then and I don't want to go back and reread it.
Yeah.
I want to get past page 6.
Yeah. So I get it.
I fall asleep or start to fall asleep.
And you don't know where you stopped at.
Yeah.
Yep. Cool. So I think that we left quite a bit of content on here. So what book would you say go read now if you have not read it yet?
You know what? I think it's going to depend on the topic.
Any topic
whatsoever. Gosh almighty. I'll revert back to the Millionaire Real Estate Agent. That's always one that or Viktor Frankl.
Yep.
Man's Search for Meaning. I think
one of those two would be, hey, just knock this out.
No.
This is the baseline. I definitely would say The Last Arrow for me. That is, regardless.
I like the concept of that.
Where you're at in life, and Erwin McManus narrates it and just has a great voice to narrate as well. It's good. I love it.
Excellent.
So, all right. Let's next podcast. Let's talk about Checklist Manifesto.
Let's do it.
We will do a deconstruction of Checklist. It may sound like the most boring podcast ever, but we will do it because a checklist can be an absolute game changer and they are a lifesaver.
Well, I can give you an example of what checklists are all about. I came out of the checklist world.
Yep. So checklist saves lives and they save businesses.
That's right.
So, all right. Until that time, go read some stinking books or listen to them.